Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us today. I am John Najarian, and I'm sitting with the chairman and CEO of AXIM Biotechnology. That's AXIM, John Huemoeller. John, it's great to be sitting with you, sir.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me.
We're at the Wall Street Conference out in Los Angeles at the Waldorf Astoria, and John has just some fabulous things that AXIM has been doing, folks. And so we wanted you guys to be aware of what those things were because there's a room full of investors upstairs that just heard a great presentation from John about two different tests. He's got actually, not props, the actual tests right here in front of us. So John, first tell us a little bit about the story about the antibody rapid test that you guys have and how you then pivoted to perhaps come in a different direction with this test.
Sure. So, before COVID, we were in the cancer diagnostics business, testing for biomarkers for tumors, and we had developed rapid diagnostic tests for that. But when COVID came along, we said, what can we do to possibly, work in the COVID space? And we came up with the idea that everybody else was doing antigen tests to test for the virus itself. We knew we didn't want to compete with the big guys, so we said, what about a neutralizing antibody test? And so we developed what we call ImmunoPass, which is a little lateral flow test, a drop of blood, a little bit of buffer, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I can tell you whether or not you have neutralizing antibodies. And neutralizing antibodies are important because they're actually the subset of antibodies when you either get COVID or you get the vaccine. It's the end point of all vaccines is to elicit the biggest amount of neutralizing antibodies. And so if you have high levels of neutralizing antibodies, you are protected. It actually blocks the binding of the RBD spike protein on your ACE2 cells in your body. So it blocks that antibody from coming in, it blocks the virus from coming into your cells and attaching to your cells. So neutralizing antibodies are very important, but they begin to wane whether or not you get COVID from a natural infection or whether or not you get it from a vaccine. After a couple of months, you start seeing levels drop off on these neutralizing antibodies, and after 4, 5, 6 months, and everybody's different, so we believe that our test can actually measure those levels, and then that way you'll know when you need a booster, whether you're safe, whether it's safe to go to the baseball game or the football game or what have you. So neutralizing antibodies are, we believe, the key in a post-vaccine world for diagnostics of COVID.
And right now the FDA would prefer this just be you do have the neutralizing antibodies or you do not. But you'd actually be able to tell people how much in the neutralizing antibodies they had. But right now that part isn't approved yet, is that right?
So we're negotiating, call it, with the FDA as we speak, and they're not too excited about quantitative tests which actually measure levels of neutralizing antibodies with a device or with a reader, without a reader device, so that this is you can see it with your eyeball and test to see your level, and they're not that keen on that. So they want us to be able to make it a yes or no test and then be able to do a quantitative test where we would have a reader which would tell you the specific amount of neutralizing antibodies.
Wow. So pivoted from cancer to these antigen, antibody, and rapid tests, and now you're adding another because you've just acquired another company's patent for this little device, right?
Correct. So today we announced that we just acquired two 510K approved tests by the FDA. So they're ready to go to market. One of them is ready to go to market, and we're just going to have marketing materials created and start the sales plan, hiring salespeople, and getting it to market. This test, same thing, only it uses a teardrop instead of a drop of blood. So just a tiny little bit of tear fluid, we can tell you your level of lactoferrin, and that's very important for diagnosing dry eye disease. Whether or not you have low levels of lactoferrin, then you have dry eye disease. We have another test for IgE, which will be coming right down the pipeline, which will measure for allergies, and then between the two of them, you can tell pretty much an ophthalmologist will be able to diagnose you in 10 minutes in their office.
And
key.
how many, just in America, how many people have dry eye disease?
So there's approximately 75 million people that visit their eye doctor every year, and 25 to 35% have symptoms for dry eye. So it's a huge market for us. We're very excited about it and can't wait to get it going.
Is it also an international market potentially then, John, if you get the approvals overseas for this?
It is. It's a global market. It's, eye doctors, dry eye disease isn't confined to the United States, so it's a much bigger market offshore.
Fantastic. And AXIM, like I say, folks, has already made some pretty significant pivots, and it's why it's now a $90 million company. But you can imagine how these two tests could cause, each of these tests could be multi-billion-dollar drivers for AXIM. So you guys have to be pretty optimistic, John, going forward.
We're very excited about the future. We've got a strong pipeline and going to be here for a long time.
And you're based in San Diego?
Yeah, so our lab, and we're based out of San Diego, California.
Fantastic. Well, folks, make sure you check it out, AXIM. John Huemoeller, thank you for sitting with us today.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
For more information, go to AXIMbiotech.com/COVID-19. AXIM Biotechnologies, improving lives through diagnostic and therapeutic solutions.